Welcome to Fiscal Signal. In 2024, the United States paid over $800 billion just on interest from money it borrowed. Not paying down the debt, just interest. That's more than the entire defense budget. Japan owes 264% of its entire economy. Italy owes 137%, and even Germany sits at 63% and climbing. Yet none of these countries are panicking or selling off assets to pay it back. In fact, they're borrowing more. So what's going on? Are governments just bad at math? Or is there something else happening here? I'm going to show you why countries borrow trillions they'll never repay, why that might actually be the plan, and why the whole system depends on pretending that one day, somehow, the bill will get paid. How government debt really works. Let's start with a simple question. If you owed someone $50,000 and had no real plan to pay it back, that would be a problem. Eventually, someone would cut you off, your credit score would collapse, and the lights would go out. But governments don't work that way. When a country borrows money, it issues bonds, basically IOUs, where you give the government $1,000 today, and in 10 years they promise to give you $1,000 back plus interest. They pay you back by issuing a new bond. They borrow again to pay off the old loan. This is called rolling over the debt. Imagine if you paid off your credit card by opening another credit card, then paid that one off with another and another forever. That's sovereign debt. Governments have been doing this for decades, and the cycle never ends. It's not a bug in the system, it's how the system is designed to work. Why the system never collapses. Now, you might be thinking, eventually the music stops, right? Eventually they run out of people willing to lend. Except they don't, because there's always demand for government bonds. Pension funds need them to guarantee retirement payments. Insurance companies need them to back their policies, and foreign governments need them to park their currency reserves. Government bonds are the safest place to park money in a world where nothing else feels safe. As long as investors think the government will keep making interest payments and keep rolling over bonds, the debt can grow forever. It's not a flaw in the design, it's the entire foundation of modern sovereign finance. The game continues as long as everyone agrees to keep playing. Why countries borrow in the first place. Let's talk about why countries borrow in the first place. It's not always because they're reckless. Debt is a tool, and it's a really powerful one. When a country borrows money, it can spend more than it collects in taxes, which means it can build infrastructure, fund healthcare, pay for defense, or bail out a failing economy without raising taxes or cutting services. Politically, that's pure gold because no one gets angry and everyone gets something. Take the 2008 financial crisis. Governments around the world borrowed trillions to stop banks from collapsing and economies from imploding. It worked. The global economy was saved. But the debt didn't go away. It just got added to the pile. Look at COVID. The US alone borrowed over $4 trillion in pandemic relief to send out checks, keep businesses afloat, and fund vaccine development. But every dollar borrowed is a dollar that has to be paid back with interest by someone at some point. Except that point never actually comes. The debt just keeps rolling forward, generation after generation. The math that doesn't add up. Let's do some uncomfortable math because the numbers reveal why conventional repayment is impossible. The U.S. national debt is over $36 trillion, while the entire U.S. economy produces about $28 trillion per year. That means even if the government took every single dollar generated in the country for an entire year and put it all toward the debt, it still wouldn't be enough. And that's before paying for anything else. Japan's situation is even more extreme. Their debt is over $10 trillion, while their economy is only $4.2 trillion. The gap isn't closing, it's widening. So how are these countries still functioning? And why hasn't everything collapsed? The answer is interest rates. But when rates go up, the cost explodes. Suddenly, that same trillion costs 5%, then 7%, and the interest payments crowd out everything else. Education, healthcare, infrastructure, it all starts getting squeezed because the interest bill takes priority. Right now, interest rates are higher than they've been in years, and the cracks are starting to show. The inflation strategy. Here's where the story gets darker. Governments have a way out that you and I don't, and it's called inflation. If you owe $1,000 today and inflation runs at 5% a year for a decade, that $1,000 becomes worth a lot less in real terms. The number on paper stays the same, but the actual burden shrinks because $1,000 doesn't buy what it used to. Governments know this, and while they won't say it out loud, inflating away debt is a deliberate strategy. It's technically legal, technically not a default, but it's still a way of not paying back what was originally promised. No politician will admit this is the plan, but the historical pattern speaks for itself. Inflation erodes debt over time, making the impossible burden gradually more bearable. This is why central banks carefully manage inflation. Too little, and debt becomes crushing. Too much, and the currency collapses. When the system breaks. Now let's zoom out and ask, what happens if this system breaks? What if people stop believing the debt is sustainable? There's a term for it, a debt spiral, and it works like this. Investors start to doubt a country's ability to pay, so they demand higher interest rates to compensate for the risk. Higher rates mean the government has to borrow even more just to cover the interest, which makes investors even more nervous. Rates go higher, borrowing costs explode, and eventually the country either defaults or prints so much money that the currency collapses. The question is, can it happen to a country like the US or Japan? Countries that control their own currency and have the full faith of global markets behind them. Most economists say no, because these countries can always